Hello, everyone's Forest Focus. Nottingham Forest won 6 top-flight games in a row for the first time since the 1960s after beating Wolves at Molyneux to stay third in the Premier League on goal difference. Another wonderful night for the Reds. Looking forward to talking about it in full in the company of, first of all, Ruby Naylor. Ruby, evening. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm trying to take some deep breaths and stop the post-match jitters, but I'm fantastic. Flying.
It never gets boring. It never gets boring. Emily Anderson, how are you?
Cloud nine. I'm delighted. We keep winning.
And we'll see if we keep on winning. We might discuss that towards the end. Obviously, it's Liverpool next in the league after Luton, but we'll get onto that later. Mark Sutherns, how you doing?
I'm all right. It's getting harder and harder not to act smug for an hour after every Forest game, isn't it? It's getting more difficult. Yeah, they did test us, but they didn't take their chances. And then we just put it to bed, didn't we? Which is what we've been doing. So, yeah, very, very happy.
Kick us off, Ruby, then, as ever. We'll just do general thoughts and we'll get into specifics. What did you make of it in general?
I think 3 great goals that came from great football. I think they're exactly as... Sorry, I just got a phone call and that messed it up. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, so sorry.
Can you?
I don't know if you can hear it. I
can't. You can't.
Okay. Oh, okay, that's good. I'm so sorry. Very excited. 3 goals that kind of looked like Nuno had designed them to happen. They were exactly what we wanted to happen when we started those breaks. And Taiwo scored, which was just the cherry on top of a yummy cake today.
What about you, Mark? You often say it followed the script. It sort of did, and it sort of very much didn't first half. In terms of, Wolves gave us a lot of problems. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I think their energy and movement caused us a lot of problems first half. They really went about it with an appetite, didn't they? Even when we scored the goal, it didn't knock the stuffing out of them, and we struggled to cope them a bit. They were throwing in crosses, and Strand Larsen really had 2 chances he should have converted. Murillo did very well for the one on the line. Actually, that wasn't lucky; it didn't hit him. He actually put out his leg, extended his leg to block it. And Matt Sells was, when called upon, outstanding, as we've seen for many games now. And then Morato comes on, puts them in a sleeper hold, and it's good night, isn't it? That's basically what happens every time he comes on. We tuck them up, put them to bed, and it's they go to sleep. We don't seem to struggle as soon as he's on the pitch. The will of the opponent seems to drain out of them, and we're able to just cover it and close off the chances. And that's exactly what happened. Again, Yates comes on. Jota Silva comes on, and they come on for tactical fouls, and it works. And it was beautifully taken goals as well. I mean, Chris Wood and Morgan Gibbs-White both in top form, of course, and we took our chances and they didn't. That was the difference.
Yeah, do we look like? I think Sky finally starting to take some note, Emily. But do we have all the traits of a top team now in terms of maturity and managing games, and especially being clinical? That was probably the biggest thing tonight, I guess.
Yeah, because in the first half, once we scored our goal, Wolves seemed to unleash, and they created more chances than I think any other team against us in the first half. And for the first time in a few games, I felt quite nervy, but actually we still had that resilience, didn't we? We soaked up the pressure. We still went in at half time, 2-0 up. And clearly there were some slight tweaks at half time made by Nuno. And we completely shut them out in the second half. So as well as having that solid defence, now we've got clinical finishers, and we just seem to be finding the formula. I think one of the commentators at the end said Wolves have been Nuno'd. They have been Nuno'd. Nuno's got a style of play. He's got a set way that he wants to do things. He knows how to tweak mid-game. He makes those brilliant substitutions. And although we can see them coming, we knew Morato would probably come on in the 60th or 70th minute. We knew that possibly Yatesy would come on to see out the game. Awoniyi would probably get a few minutes at the end. But unfortunately, teams still can't break us down. And for me, I know we'll talk about man of the match, but one of the outstanding performances tonight for me was Matt Sells. I thought he was brilliant, particularly in the first half. He kept us in the game, because it could have turned on his head if one of those Strand Larsen chances has gone in. But yeah, I think national pundits are finally starting to take us seriously. I'm happy to continue to stay under the radar, because despite us being joint second with Arsenal now, the title race is apparently just between Liverpool, Chelsea and Arsenal. So I'm happy just to keep flying under that radar and hopefully secure Champions League spots.
That wasn't any pundit. That was Jamie, who did it down, of course. So
the
he's trying to make
him.
up for it now. Yeah.
Thanks very much to Paul. There are 400 people watching already in 5 minutes, which is great. Do us a favour and hit like if you would already. I'll come back to Mark for this one, then Ruby for the goal. I want to just ask Mark about the team news, because normally we would talk about our team news, Mark, but in our WhatsApp group, we all, especially yourself, latched onto the Wolves team. When you saw the Wolves team, I mean, did your eyes light up and think we were in or not?
Yeah. Obviously, I don't know whether it's injury, illness. I don't know why Semedo was missing, Lamino only started on the bench, and Dawson was missing. So I really expected them to line up with 3 at the back and wing backs, which I think is their default since Pereira got there, and before that even. And that's how their team is set up to play in that way. When I saw the back 4, and I thought, okay, so they've got Lima out on the right back making his debut, an 18-year-old against Hudson-Odoi, and then that side also Doherty's the right centre back. I kind of felt that Hudson-Odoi would get some joy out of them, and he did. I mean, he managed to get Doherty isolated and obviously beaten for pace, and found Chris Wood, whose movement off the ball was exemplary as usual, and he just calmly stroked it in the net, didn't he, for the second goal. I think I was very surprised at what Wolves had at their disposal. Obviously, they had problems. I think despite that, they still played really well, and they still showed that they've got too much to go down. They're not going to carry on struggling playing like that. And he's obviously reinvigorated their spirit, and they're playing for each other. And we did well. We were the first team to stop them scoring at Molineux this season. So, again, it just shows you, doesn't it?
I still think Ipswich have got to say, but then we'll talk about, we're not talking about that now, but I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. The first goal then, Ruby, to elaborate on it. I mean, we've seen that goal so many times, but it never gets dull. And it's so good to watch, isn't it? That counter-attacking goal. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I think like you said, they got Nuno'd. As soon as Gibbs-White got the ball, we already were 4v3. They only had 3 back. Our whole front was already up and ready to go. Am I thinking of the right goal? Sorry.
Yeah, Anderson to Gibbs-White,
I
and
am.
then
Okay, yeah, sorry. There was 3 good ones, so so immediately as soon as Gibbs-White got the ball, you almost felt like it was coming. I thought Wood did really well to stay up with them and kind of pull that defender and give Gibbs-White a lot of space once Langer got the ball, and Gibbs-White could kind of stop and look, and then as soon as he got the ball back, first time shot. I know at least the commentators on my stream were talking about how they think the deflection helped. I thought Gibbs-White placed that better than the commentators gave him credit for. I don't think the deflection did as much as they thought. I still don't think Saul was getting to it regardless. I think it was well placed. A great assist, a simple one, but I mean, he could have taken the shot. We've seen players do that before, but obviously he made the right decision to do the pass and got an assist. I think it was great football, exactly the counter-attacking we want to do. No complaints, no notes. Keep it up.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. The deflection, I think, was going in anyway. A few people in a WhatsApp group I'm in said the keeper should have done better, but I don't think so. His momentum was taken one way and the finish was smart and took it the other. So I thought it was a really good goal, and good to see Elanga again getting an assist. From there, though, Emily, I think, were we lucky not to go behind? I've written in my notes here, Murillo block on the line. That was a great block. Self saves from Gomez. Self saves from Strand Larsen. I wrote here, hit him. They had 3 or 4 big moments. They really should have scored, shouldn't they?
Yeah, and just quickly going back to Gibbs-White's goal, how poetic was it that the Wolves fans were singing about Morgan Gibbs-White's girlfriend, and a few minutes later he pops one in the old onion bag to shut them up. So that was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, we were very lucky. Murillo's save off the line, but equally Murillo made a few ricks as well, didn't he? A couple of times, there were a few loose balls from Murillo, a couple of mistakes from Anderson. Strand Larsen could have got a hat-trick in the first half, was it not for fantastic defence by us. So I would say, other than our first goal, and obviously we got a goal late on as well, it felt like Wolves were in control of the game. We don't know what it was like for the players on the pitch. For me watching, I didn't feel confident in that first, probably between the goal, what was the goal after about, was it 15 minutes the goal? 6 minutes, yeah. 6 or 7 minutes through to about 40 minutes. It felt really, really nervy. And it wasn't until we bagged the second one in that I could relax again. But I thought Wolves had loads of chances. They just couldn't convert them.
Yeah, I've got my notes here to talk about the chance and goal in tandem. So that was rubbish for me. This was all done a bit on the fly, so I want to do it quickly. On the chance, though, sticking with that, Emily, that kind of made it one of the sweetest wins of the season to me, because you don't hear chants like that about individual players very much anymore. The Wolves fans consistently let themselves down with that, don't they?
It's disgusting that they should be talking about his girlfriend anyway. Deeply offensive. And he didn't let it get the better of him. I'm glad he didn't. And I said to my other half, as those chants were being chanted, I really hope Gibbs-White pops one in tonight just to shut them up. Moments later, and it goes. And, you know, we love a bit of banter on the football pitch. We love banter from the fans. It's all well and good. Say what you like about the players. Say what you like about the managers. Have banter between fans, but don't bring in the girlfriends and the wives and the children, etc. And they just seem obsessed. They seem obsessed with hating Gibbs-White. Get over it. He's our player and he's a great player. You let him go. Thank you. Good night.
I don't normally dig out individual comments. That's a terrible comment. That's not. I can't agree with that at all from Matt Kirk. There's no context around those at all. It's not banter. There's certain chants that are banter and there's certain chants that aren't. And saying the baby's not yours and stuff like that isn't banter at all.
It was really getting booed, wasn't it? Weren't our fans booing it in response? I think when they started.
Yeah.
It was, and well, I mean, he was always going to play well against them, and things like that just makes it even more likely. I think they're playing into our hands or into his hands by doing that. It's only going to inspire him more. And arguably, he was up there for man of the match, and he like Emily says, he shut them up really quickly. But yeah, it was great to see, but not great to hear, of course.
I guess one of the differences between the teams, Ruby, was probably Wood versus Strand Larsen. In the end, Wood's shot conversion, I'm sure Mark can come back to that, is insane. And the second goal is sort of a carbon copy of the first. But Chris Wood's never going to miss from there, is he?
No, never. That's exactly what he wants. He knows the type of ball to play from the position he's in. He knows exactly how to hit it, what angle to hit it at, whether he's near the penalty spot or on the edge of the 6-yard box like he was there. But I mean, obviously we've got to credit Hudson-Odoi and the run he made. And like you said, Doherty had no chance. And I like that he pulled it back a little bit more than I thought he was going to. I thought it was going to be more of a goal line ball than it was. Obviously, Chris Wood, it looked like he knew that he was going to pull it back rather than just play it through to his feet. And I thought they linked up really great on that. I will say, I know, Matt, you had said the ball hit Sells on that one Strand Larsen opportunity, but I thought if you look at his arm, he does get it out quite quickly away from his body. So I think he gets a little credit for that stop as well. But I mean, overall, it's about the placement, and Larsen didn't have the placement that Chris Wood does. And I will take what is it? Give me a Chris Wood knee slide or give me death. Well, that's an American phrase. Give me liberty or give me death, but that's okay.
That's okay. You're right about Sells' positioning's good, obviously, for the ball to hit him. But, Strand Larsen certainly got to score there. Before we move on to talk, I think the tide turned at that point, actually. I think we were back in control, but we'll come back to that. Just a quick word, Trent Navigation, get your double stamp loyalty cards throughout January. 2 stamps for every pint throughout the month. Ask at the bar for a new card if you're down there at any point this month. Might well have been down there tonight enjoying the game. And obviously, we've got Luton at home at the weekend as well, which we'll preview later in the week. Right, Emily, as I said, I thought the tide turned from that point. Should we have had a penalty after 32 minutes?
Yeah, I think we should actually, because although the argument from VAR was that he didn't have enough time to react, I think it was further enough away and his arm was rising. And at the time, I was deeply annoyed and thought if that's going to be the difference between us winning or losing the game, I'll be really knocked off. But actually, it doesn't matter because we went on to win the game anyway. I think that had that been given at the other end against us, we probably wouldn't have complained. So yeah, I mean it. I think it was disregarded by VAR very quickly, I'll say.
Marty says
no.
Not a pen.
Yeah.
Yes, penalty. Marty says never a pen again. Paul says yes, a pen. So Handball 100% says Ben. So you say no, Ruby?
No, I think he was moving it behind his back. He was pulling it back when the ball was coming at him. So the ball kind of hit his arm when it was like in motion behind his back, I thought. I thought he did as best as he could to get it away. And Hudson-Odoi had one a couple minutes earlier that was kind of similar, so I had the feeling that they weren't going to give it. And I'm all right with it. The one that made me more upset was the Doherty one right after on Hudson-Odoi when they didn't check that for a red. That made me more upset than the handball did, actually.
Yeah, I don't think he even got booked. Were you agreeing with Ruby there, Mark, or were you saying penalty?
It's really on the line, isn't it? Because Ruby's right. He is pulling his arm back behind his back, and that's when it struck him. So the question is pulling your arm back behind your back now considered a natural position for your arm? I guess today's football it is, because defenders do run in and they tuck their arms behind their back, but it's not really a natural position because that would be down by your side. So the motion of him actually trying to move his arm behind his back meant that it looked like his arm moved towards the ball. So I thought they were going to give it. Like Emily says, I think if that was given against us, we'd be like, yeah, you can see why. So I think it was very, very tight indeed. I wouldn't have been surprised, but it wasn't given on the pitch. So I don't think VR were going to give that one. But yeah, I mean, I think at the time, by then, I think the tide had turned. I think you're right, Matt. I think we were kind of more on top and got more control at that point. So I wasn't shouting at the TV as loudly as I would have been had we been in trouble and they were 2-1 up, obviously, which could have been the case.
What was the Liverpool one yesterday? I can't remember it. I watched the game and I can't remember who gave it away. Was that because people are referencing that in the chat? I can't even remember.
The handball was by De Ligt, and that was he had his arm. He had his arm higher.
Yeah, that wasn't a natural position.
Yeah, that was like above his waist, wasn't it? That was pretty high.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Second half, then, Emily, it felt like a much more Forest half, just in terms of total control. Did you ever feel remotely nervous in that game, or that half?
No, I felt more relaxed in the second half. Have we talked about the second goal? Or did I?
Ruby did the second goal, didn't she?
Oh, did Ruby do the second goal? No, we didn't do the second goal. I don't think.
Oh, I don't know.
But anyway,
Emily, did you do the second goal, Ruby?
Yeah, we talked briefly. We dusted it, but
we dusted it.
Yeah.
I thought, I just wasn't that the one where Sells lobbed it over to Callum Hudson-Odoi, and
that was this assist to this.
So second half, we felt really in control. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, there was some minor tweaks made by Nuno, and we kind of just shut them down. We even had a couple of early chances, didn't we, in the second half, to go 3-0 up early doors. And it felt more like the Forest performance that we've come to see and know over the last few months. And as the game wore on, as the substitutions were made, there didn't feel like there was any danger that we were going to concede anything. About 90th minute, I thought if Wolves even get a consolation goal, I'll be annoyed, because I don't want to lose that streak of not conceding goals. And I think it would have been a real disservice to Matt Sells. So it felt quite routine, the second half, I would say. Very measured, very ordered, very Nuno.
Thank you very much to Mark Marlowe for signing up for membership. Very much appreciate that. And thank you very much to Osboy13 for the $14.99. Love your podcast from Sydney, unsurprisingly with that name. Thank you for the great work. Keeps me feeling connected to Forest inside the world. Thank you very much for that. Very kind of you indeed. I referenced about stats there and conversion rates, Mark. I don't know if you've got them for Wood or any other stats from the game you want to highlight.
Yeah, he stays on 33% conversion rate, which is the highest in the Premier League. The next best, really, of a player with more than 10 starts is Wissa, who's got 27% conversion rate. They showed Strand Larsen tonight, didn't they? They compared him to Wood. That was ironic because obviously the difference between the two strikers was Wood took his chance and Strand Larsen didn't take his. So, yeah, he's just out on his own in terms of conversion rate amongst strikers in the Premier League, even ahead of Isak still. So I'm sure Isak will close the gap. He's on 23% at the moment, Isak, but obviously he's the one that everyone's talking about. But Chris Wood is just plodding along, calmly taking his chances. I think the goal for me was all about his movement, and he ran in, then he checked back, and Hudson-Odoi found him, and he just calmly put it away with his left foot. I think that the commentators saying that is his first with his left foot this season. But yeah, you know what you get with Chris Wood. You know that if we get in the ball and we give him a chance, he will take it this season. And it just makes us feel so assured that, with the wingers we've got, at the moment. Hudson-Odoi and Alanga, I thought, played well tonight. They had patches where they gave the ball away cheaply. They perhaps weren't as positive as I'd want them to be, but they never let us down in terms of creating chances. And it was those two who created the chances for the goals tonight. And you see the difference. I mean, it was interesting for the Gibbs-White goal. They drew the comparison of Xerxes' ball to Maguire in Sunday's game, and that Xerxes kind of chopped it back and it bobbled and Maguire fired it over, whereas Alanga just slowed it down calmly and stroked it across to Gibbs-White and just set it up perfectly for the shot. You can't underestimate that. And Alanga's very good at that. He did it in the second half as well for Anderson's chance. You know, we criticise him sometimes for his end product, but he's getting better and better and better at that. And it's just great to see. And with a striker like Chris Wood, if you've got wingers who do that, we're going to keep scoring goals.
Yeah, they're different wingers as well, Ruby, I think, aren't they? Hudson-Odoi offers control, which you don't get from wingers necessarily all the time. But when we get the ball on the left and we pass it around, that takes the sting out of games. Hudson-Odoi's, I mean, Tuchel was watching. Do you think he'll be in the England squad or not?
I mean, it's a difficult one because, I mean, Tuchel is so new. So I want to lean towards yes, just because we know Gareth Southgate was so stuck on the certain players he had, especially the wingers. So I think it's definitely a chance to get at least a call up for friendlies. But I don't know. It's difficult because, I mean, Tuchel hasn't managed a national team, so we don't really have much to go off. Besides the fact that Hudson-Odoi did play under him for a little while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 46 games this on Sky.
Yeah, so I mean, him and Abraham also might just have a little more chance because I know Abraham used to as well. Sorry, off track. But I think it's not a crazy shout. I think it would be really cool to see. I did think that his first half, he was kind of quieter than I would have liked. I thought Alanga had way more opportunities in the first half, so that might go against him a little more than I would like it to. But obviously he's not going to base it off one match. He's going to base it off the season as a whole and his last season as well. And so, I mean, obviously he hasn't scored in a little while. I do think that he's due, but everybody likes his recipe and then the outcome of that little recipe. There needs to be a name for it, but it'd be fun to see that happen in an England kit.
Richard, we might come back to this, but I'll flag it while I remember. 40 points, which I think officially means we're staying up after 20 games, which is crazy. If we played 20 games, we've got 40 points.
Yeah.
It's title winning form.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Whisper it.
Crazy. Yeah, I know. Just go on the wingers as well. Emily or Mark, whoever wants to jump in first. Ruby's right, but it doesn't really matter. I don't know why I said that. I normally just aim the question at someone, but it's late. Ruby's right, but Alanga being prominent in the first half is still good because just the threat they carry, especially on the break. It's just like we're just blowing teams away at the moment, aren't we? One of you.
Neither of us.
Emily.
Okay. Yeah,
On,
I mean,
sorry, that was terrible hosting.
They're devastating, aren't they? Against most teams, and just when you think as an opposition fan that you're on the break or you're getting the better of Forest, suddenly a counter attack launches and either Hudson-Odoi on one wing or Alanga on the other, and they beat them for pace. So what do their defenders have to do? They have to either take them out or they just watch as Alanga threads a beautiful ball in and assists another goal. So yeah, I think we're so lucky to have that pair, and I'm thrilled particularly for them both because they were both kind of like possibly like toys in the cupboard that weren't being used anymore, or they were seen as not the brightest, or didn't have a future. Alanga looked like he was going nowhere at Man United. He comes here and he's improving game on game. Yes, he's had problems with finishing. Sometimes he doesn't know when to release the ball, but he's getting better. Hudson-Odoi has been ravaged with injuries early on in his career, but I thought he had a great game tonight without being outstanding. So yeah, we're really lucky that we've got both of those, and then we can use them whichever way we want, whether we use them as super subs or whether we start with them like we did tonight. So yeah, no complaints from our wingers.
They are playing more narrow as well.
Yeah,
they tuck in and they do their fair share of defensive work too. So they're just an all-round game, and service to the team is there, and that's going to be crucial come the Liverpool game, because I think that battle, our two wingers against Robertson and Trent, is going to be key to the to that match, I would have thought. I mean, if you've got a weakness in the Liverpool team, it is the two fullbacks. I mean, obviously Trent was exposed by Manchester United. You expect him to try and tuck inside, but Callum will come inside and go with him. So we haven't got that issue of Trent going wandering, and we haven't got a winger who's disciplined enough to follow him. You know, Callum's doing that. So I do think Liverpool will look at those two wide players we've got and be concerned and feel that could be one area where we could expose them.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe Trent will be that bad again, because that was absolute car crash performance. But hopefully he is, because I'd love it if he was. So just dipping into the chat, this is a good point as well. We draw teams in. You can see the traps, especially when we've got a back three. Murillo is like a caged tiger ready to go, and you just break and just go and run up the field. And he's gonna smash one in soon. But that's a good point. Hudson-Odoi has stepped up the last 6 weeks. I agree. Yeah. Probably since Gary Birtles absolutely slaughtered him against, I can't remember which game it was, but he's been good since then. So maybe we'll go back to him. I agree with Derek as well. It is a huge weapon. A couple more here to. This is a different Australian. Is this the same person just giving me another $15? Thank you very much. Sports fan who is Nottingham lad living in Brisbane. First season ticket in 87-88. So brings back fond memories. Thank you, John. Very kind of you. Thank you very much to Pete for signing up for membership. Pete Brockwell and Weatherface, that's a good name, for signing up as well. Appreciate that. I didn't actually write down a huge amount of notes after that because we were in control, but there were a few pivotal moments. Emily, Matt Sells, I thought this was the best save of the night, the one from Strand Larsen, which it took a slight deflection, and that was when it showed that, I don't know, he's up there with anyone in the Premier League now, isn't he, as a keeper?
Yeah, it showed that he's a goalkeeper that is brimming with confidence. He commands his area, and he makes those saves that keeps us in the game. And you can see he's getting more vocal in his box. He knows exactly what he's doing, and we haven't felt safe, have we, since Samba? And now we've got that keeper that we can really rely on. And he, for me, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but for me, he was man of the match. He would take all 3 bonus points in FPL for me. He was fantastic tonight. Lots of really good performances, but he really stood out for me tonight. Kept us in the game in the first half, and in the second half, like you say, made a couple of really crucial saves. Yeah,
he actually only got 2. Murillo got 3. What's that based on, Mark? I'm going off on a tangent here, I know, but
it's based on my favourite stat: clearances, blocks, and interceptions, of which Murillo got 14. So, and he won all his tackles. He won 3 tackles tonight as well, out of 3. So,
yeah, he was on fire. Certainly was. Right.
On a side note, it was nice to see Murillo on free kicks tonight. He was obviously desperate to get an assist or a goal. None of them quite worked, but there was one. It was early in the second half, a training ground move. He sort of looked like he was going to lob it in and then passed it. I thought he did well there, but yeah, I think Murillo's desperate for another goal, isn't
he? He is.
I think the Roberto Carlos shot, it had me laughing for a good 2 minutes.
I know. I love it, though. I love it. 800 plus people watching. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Do us a favour and hit like if you haven't already. Also, Footy Kings is right. Sky reporting. We'll pick this up tomorrow. When was it? It's 11 a.m. tomorrow with Fletch, Pete and Temps about Sky reporting that Murillo is in talks over a new contract. So we'll do that and a few other bits, which is obviously excellent news. The only other chance we had was Jota, good ball to Hudson-Odoi, who went for it with his head, which was fair enough. And then we should talk about the goal, which was really, Ruby, the icing on the cake. I was so pleased for Taiwo just to get that goal. He could have got 2. And we saw signs of this before I throw it to you. We saw signs of this at Everton, I thought he came on and looked much brighter. So just, like I say, the icing on the cake, wasn't it?
Well, I really thought this might be a game for Taiwo a little earlier than he had been coming on, just because there had been a lot of muscling between Chris Wood and the centre halves, and I do think Taiwo has a little bit more muscle, so he might have handled that a little bit better. And I thought it was a testament to my thinking that right when he came on, he kind of put a little more pressure on the centre backs and the goalkeeper than Wood had been doing, and he had 2 opportunities that could have been converted. But I did think this was a game for him, and he came on and did what I hoped he would do, which was score. He was obviously long overdue one, and I don't think there's a single unhappy person from that goal, at least in the Forest verse. But I do want to credit Jota Silva in that he might not be up to the par of the skill level that a lot of our players have, but he works harder than I would say a lot of our players do. The work rate is massive, and that was a decent ball to Hudson-Odoi. Obviously could have been better. I think Hudson-Odoi did as much as he could there. But he really does put in the work, and he really wants to be on the pitch, and he really wants to play, which is kind of how Nico was for a little while for us. A lot of people were complaining that necessarily on the skill level as a lot, but he was putting in the work rate and putting in the work, and now everybody loves Nico and loves that he's been starting. So I think if Jota keeps going the way he's been doing, it could look up for him. But I think great shift from him. Awesome to see a goal from Taiwo, and it was another really well worked one.
Yeah, just this is a good point as well. Mark, Ward-Prowse as well, coming off the bench. 2 players who were in the spotlight in January. We discussed this the other day. Where are you at on both of them, Taiwo and Ward-Prowse, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the Ward-Prowse things depends on incomings, doesn't it? Whether or not we want to do something with that loan slot and the squad as well, because we don't have many places left in the squad, so you get that opportunity to rename the squad in January. And if Ward-Prowse is using up a slot that we think we can use more effectively with a signing elsewhere, then he may well go back. He's been unlucky because there's no doubt his quality, but there isn't really a role in the team when the team is playing like it is and the way that we're set up. Dominguez and Anderson have just come through to perform at a very high level, and Yates was already at that level when Ward-Prowse arrived, so he hasn't been able to break in. He's not going to get into a wide position with the wingers that we've got, so I feel sorry for him really. But he came on and contributed that and squared the ball to Taiwo unselfishly, which was a great contribution. Taiwo's a bit unlucky, isn't he, because you can only make substitutes 3 times, and in every game at the moment we're bringing on Morata around 60 minutes and then bringing on Yates or Dominguez with Jota on about 75 minutes. So we're not going to make a final sub until with 5 minutes to go because you don't want to risk an injury. So Taiwo's only ever going to get on in the last 5 minutes because of that, because he's never part of the first 2 substitutions that we make. And we're making the same subs every single game, aren't we? Because the script is being followed and it always calls for those substitutions at that time. So I do feel a bit sorry for him, but on the plus side, he should be unleashed against our friends at Luton, won't he? So we'll see what he does there.
Yeah, and if we sign someone, then the situation's probably the same, because you're not going to drop Chris Wood. I think Chris Wood's going to start regularly in every game, so whoever you bring in is probably restricted to that. I don't know. You can tweak it.
I don't think he gets a break.
He gets a break against
I see him getting a break. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think the idea is that we see Taiwo's injuries as being perhaps a problem, and long term that being an issue that won't mean he can sustain a Premier League career, because it's very, very demanding, obviously, on the body playing in the Premier League. Whereas if he goes back to the Bundesliga, maybe he can carve out a career there and not be under the same level of strain that no doubt he is as part of the Premier League. But he looks ready, though. He looks ready to start, doesn't he? And he just looks that little bit fitter, a little bit sharper, but we're only getting brief glimpses of it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him start against Luton.
Yeah, it's tough to know, isn't it? Like, I agree there are some players who just look like cursed, like Wesley Fofana springs to mind. I just don't know if that's Taiwo or not, or if he's just had 2 big injuries and now it's in the past. It's tough to know. But I would still like to see a sign of versatile forward, just to add some depth, really. What's this stat from Paul that people are praising? To demonstrate how staggering our movement is, Forest have increased their points per game ratio last season by 111%. The next best improvement in the league is Bournemouth at 25%. I'll doff my cap to that one, Paul. That is a fine stat and indicative of how much things have changed. Right, just before we come to man of the match, I will just do a quick mention for Nottingham Window Company. Thank you for their backing. I had to get my roof fixed today, but I don't have to get my windows fixed. They've been sensational. So thank you very much to Nottingham Window Company. Thank you very much to the roofer who did me a very good deal, but more specifically, thank you very much to Nottingham Window Company. As you can see on screen, lovely windows, lovely doors. If you're looking to make a big purchase this year, check out the link in the description, and thanks for their support of the podcast. Right, we'll go around the room with man of the match. Emily, are you sticking with Matt Sells, or are you moving away to someone else?
No, I'm sticking with my guns. Matt Sells for me, nailed on man of the match. And I've given all my reasons, so I won't do it again.
Ruby, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going Cells too, because I think that Strand Larson opportunity goes in and we get a completely different match. So I'm going Cells too.
I'll go next. I'm going Gibbs-White because I just thought it was absolutely hilarious when he scored that goal, and I think he's a proper difference maker and was probably the best player on the pitch. Although I thought Elliot Anderson was really good, but even after he got booked, I thought they were the class acts on the pitch, and then all the usual suspects. Milenkovic is just brilliant, isn't he? It's insane, like how good he is, just dominating the game. But I will go Gibbs-White. Mark.
Yeah, I mean, Anderson's booking, I think, took the edge off him a little bit because he was playing particularly well until the booking. Gibbs-White, I gave it to him last time, and perhaps I should on this basis, but I haven't given Matt Sells a man of the match all season. And obviously, I was quite down on Matt Sells at the start of the season and thought we were going to sign a replacement. So I've got to give him the credit tonight because I think he did win us the game with those stops. Save rate is now, his save percentage is 75.3. Last season it was 62.3. So he's improved 10% in terms of his save ratio. You can see it. I don't know what's happened. I can't explain it. But if you remember when we went to Anfield, he had that episode where he dropped the ball. Yeah. And I remember at that point, even when we won the game, we were like, yeah, but we've got to do something about the keeper because Sells still looks shaky. But ever since
there was
then,
the free kick against Brighton straight after
yeah,
that was the watershed moment, that drop on the line. I know you're right.
Yeah, it's ironic that we're playing Liverpool next, and that was, I think, the last time that I was critical of Sells was when he did that, when he just under no pressure dropped the ball and nearly conceded. And at that moment, I thought, yeah, we've got to sort that out in January. And now we've got to January, and my mind has changed. I think we would struggle to find anyone who can perform at the level that Matt Sells is at this point in time. Don't think it's possible, right? I don't think there's a keeper out there who can play with the level of confidence he's got. I don't know what's made the difference. Nuno as a keeper, is the coaching really helping him? As Milenkovic's presence made a difference? Probably. But something has transformed him into a top 5 keeper in the Premier League. I didn't think he was. I didn't even think he was a top 10 keeper at the start of the season. Now I think he's amongst the top 5.
No, I agree. Reading the chat as well, Sells is the vast majority of people shout, which is very fair. Gibbs-White gets a few. Callum Hudson-Odoi gets a few. I think there was a Milenkovic in there as well, but mostly Matt Sells, certainly. Right, we'll just finish up, as usual, with final thoughts. Anything you want to say? Any thoughts looking ahead to Luton, but more so Liverpool, I guess, Ruby, because we're on the Premier League train. Well, anything you want to add before we go?
I think my biggest takeaway from this match was that the 2-0 up at halftime, I didn't even think twice about it. My mind goes to Bournemouth and Man United first in terms of up being 2-0. But I never once thought anything like that was going to happen. Never once I have an inkling of them coming back and winning 3-2. It wasn't on my radar at all. So that is probably the biggest thing for me this match, is that it doesn't really matter what the score is at halftime because we're confident either way. We play well either way. And Liverpool at home is going to be difficult. We know that. We're not silly. But I think them coming off a loss and us coming off of being drawn on points for second place with Arsenal, I think in terms of trajectory, we're more on the up mentally than they are, which we know football is 50% mentality, especially in a match like this when it's a smaller team against a bigger team. But I'm excited for it. It's going to be a good match regardless. It's going to be fun to watch. So I'd be happy with a point or 3 points, but I still think we could do the 3.
Yeah, fantastic weekend, Emily, in the title chase. As we'll just say it now because why not? Liverpool draw, Arsenal draw, Chelsea draw, didn't they? Newcastle won again against Spurs third string basically, but they did beat them. So couldn't have gone better, really, could it? This weekend.
No, I think Gregson on the podcast a few weeks ago, we're just very slowly picking off teams. We've now picked off Chelsea, gone ahead of them. Next stop Arsenal, next stop Liverpool. So you laughed at me on New Year's Eve when I sent you all a message saying the title charge is on. The title charge is on. Obviously, Liverpool are the hot favourites and you never know. But do you know what? We go into the game against Liverpool as the underdogs, and we quite like being the underdogs, don't we? No one will expect us to win. Liverpool had a bit of a rocky one against Man United, only managing to draw at Anfield. We got to keep believing. It's happening. And I can't believe I've forgotten to mention this, but it's of course Brian Clough's anniversary today, 50 years since he was appointed Nottingham Forest manager. So I'm utterly thrilled. If anyone believes in the afterlife, hopefully he was watching down tonight and enjoying us beat Wolves 3-0 away. Is that the first time we've beaten Wolves in the Premier League since we've gone up?
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned that either. We're breaking records. We're changing all those stats that come out. We just seem to be defying the odds every game. We're now 6 games unbeaten, 4th clean sheet on the bounce. It's looking great. It's looking really rosy. And I think whatever happens against Liverpool, we march on to the next game. Let's enjoy Luton on Saturday. Hopefully some of our fringe players will get a really good run out. I hope Taiwo bags a hat-trick. It was really nice to see that our old friends Luton lost again in the Championship tonight. I think they're languishing in 20th place in the Championship. So, and you look at how we fought against them to stay up and look at them now. So it's all looking great. And I think, like I say, whatever happens against Liverpool, we just march on to the next match and hopefully we can get something out of that game, if not all 3 points.
I'm really struggling to find a Luton fan for the opposition preview because if I have the same bloke back on, I don't think anyone's going to watch. So that might be, there might be a different.
I know one, Matt. I know one. I can get you one. Yeah.
Absolute hero. Okay,
he's a good one as well. I'll sort you out. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Mark saves the day live on air. What was I going to say? I think that voicemail you left on New Year's Eve, Emily, you might have been drunk. I don't know. Am I speaking out of turn now?
No, I was tipsy. I wasn't drunk. I basically, this is, no one needs to know this. I was in the car as the passenger. I'm a terrible passenger, so I couldn't text you. So I said, everyone that I was wishing Happy New Year to, they got a voice note from me. And then Gary Birtles popped into my head. I don't know why. And I said, the title charge is on. So let's go. It's on. It's on.
Emily stole the lead in from my question there, Mark, about Clough, which is fine because she was right to do it. But I suppose the most fitting way to mark the 50th anniversary is the fact that, even the great man didn't manage all these wins, but a special season is on, and it's going to carry on, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and game by game, I think the neutrals are getting behind us and want to see us maintain this because it's becoming almost a fairy story, isn't it? It's almost getting to the realms of what Leicester achieved. I don't think we're going to win the title, but just what we've achieved to this point, to be second in the table, level on points of Arsenal, having been close to relegation last season, is a huge achievement. And Nuno's done fantastic. But I also want to say that, when you look at the fact that the teams that are down the bottom of the promoted sides again, and you look at the team that went down the promoted sides again, went down last season. We talked about Taiwo tonight and the role that he played in keeping us up that first season, that goal against Arsenal that kept us up, the role that Steve Cooper played, the role that players like Toffolo played who are still at the club. I still look back and think how amazing that was because they set the tone and the foundations for where we are now. So all the praise is due to Nuno and the team now, of course, but also I look back and think, what we did when we came up, that was a huge achievement in itself because we've seen the teams come up and really struggle and we managed to keep our heads up. We kept ourselves in this league and now, against all the odds, we're competing with the big boys, which, is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Southampton are going to break Derby's record, I fear. They are so bad. And Leicester as well. Emily might have made a mistake in sacking Steve Cooper because I was looking. They've lost. Have they lost almost every game bar one? What's the mood like?
They beat West Ham 3-1 and they've lost.
Doesn't mean anything.
No, exactly. That's what I said. And they've lost every other game, I think, since. So at the moment, Nick's obsessed with fantasy football and his current thing is that he's above you, Matt, in the fantasy football, but he's not quite as hype as you, Mark. So that's his current obsession. He said, why bother with real football when I'm doing so well in FPL?
Yeah, he might beat me because I can't get any Forest players because I'm scared to get them in. Like, the minute I get Matt Sells or Chris Wood, it will go wrong. And I'm not going to get, until we lose a game, I'm not going to get a Forest player.
No, I feel
hopefully
exactly
I'm saying
the
that
same.
for weeks.
Yeah, he's reluctantly put Matt Sells, Olarena and Chris Wood in, and he'd hate me for saying this live on air, but he might have high-fived me when Chris Wood popped in.
Oh my God.
That's got him in trouble with the Leicester fraternity, surely.
Who cares? Season's over.
God, that's absolute sacrilege.
Yeah, that's bad, isn't it? I can't believe I've just said that. He's in bed. He's in bed.
yeah.
He'll never know.
God, you've absolutely hung him out to dry there. Right, 958
Wow.
people watching, which is brilliant. I mean, we are going to go now, but thank you so much for everyone who's joined us. Very much appreciate it. Even after it finishes, do us a favour and hit like. If you would, that'd be fantastic. Right, let's just put the little video on, actually. If you have enjoyed this, do us a favour, hit like, as I say. You can subscribe or do subscribe. You can become a channel member. You can sign up for Patreon or just give us a lovely 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Ruby, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm still so happy. I don't know. I still have a lot of day left to be excited.
Yeah, you do. You've got a whole day ahead of you. Yeah, we're all going to try and go to sleep because we know
We'll try and sleep now. Yeah.
We've all got 20 years on you, and we know we all need to get to bed. But
At least.
Sorry, Emily.
I know. I'm older than you, Matt. I'm just trying to have this illusion that I'm really young. I'm aware I'm old.
Oh,
You are.
Thank you, Ruby.
Emily Anderson, thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a total pleasure. And I don't think we've praised Nuno enough tonight. Someone just said, Nuno, what a manager. I was about to swear then, but what a manager. What a manager. There we go. Look, what a manager.
Yeah.
Big up Nuno. I love him. I never thought I could love anyone as much as I love Steve Cooper. It's happened. Big up Nuno.
Yeah, and your fiance. Right,
Yes.
Kevin. We have to go, Kevin. We'll be back tomorrow at 11:30. Like I say, we'll pick this up with Fletch and Thames and Pete, who was there. So it's always good to hear from someone who was there. And then we'll preview the Luton game later in the week. And we'll probably have a guest interview. And then Mark is going to bail us out with the Luton fan. So
Yeah, I'll find you one. Don't worry.
You're a
That's
good man.
fine.
You're a good man.
Matt,
Mark.
can I just ask, have you started to think about how you're going to plan the week when we've got European games as well? Because I think you need to start wondering about that.
I mean, the Tuesday and Wednesdays of the Champions League are probably going to make it a little bit easier than the Thursdays of the Europa League. So, yeah, I'll be grateful.
Seriously, you're going to be doing 2 shows a day, aren't you, for some of it? You're going to have to. You have to do like a weekend preview and it's going to be...
Yeah. I've got to track down Real Madrid fans. I'm sure I can probably manage that.
Midweek post-match every week.
Yeah, you're going to be busy. Yeah.
I am.
Right, we'll leave it there. Mark Sutherns, thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Ruby. Thanks, Emily.
Thank you much, everyone. KLM, a new sponsor. If there's anyone watching from the airlines industry or the rail industry or anything else that wants to get in touch, hot air balloon industry, then I am here for you. Right, I very much enjoyed that. As I say, do hit like, do hit subscribe, and if we don't see you tomorrow, we shall see you soon.